Back in May 2017, I made this video for Affinity Photo and Designer, and don't be afraid to try free Adobe resources. And this is a sort of follow-up or part 2 of that particular video. I will add a link to this video in the description for this video if you want to go and have a look at this one. I will be sort of covering some of the same ground, but this one here is looking at the free resources from Tom Chalkies and Spoon Graphics. Now this one I'm going to be looking at. Now this is a limited time free resource, and it's done by Design Bundles, and they give away a different resource each week, because normally this would cost like I think that's £90 that says there. So for the next 5 days this is going to be free from Design Bundles. I will add a link to this, but obviously after these 5 days are up you'll have to pay for it. But that's not to say that you can't find a similar thing out there, or that Design Bundles may not make this free again, you know, maybe a year down the line to try and help advertise it. But what you get in here, you get these different like mock-ups and textures and some paintbrushes and what have you. Some of these will work in Illustrator, some in Photoshop. I'm guessing. I don't own Photoshop or Illustrator, so I'm not 100% certain how everything works. But a lot of this can be used in Affinity Photo and or Designer. So if you see this video quite soon after I've made it, I would, if you're into this sort of thing, I would advise you to sort of go and get this for free while you can. But if not, later on, look for this or something similar that is out there that you can use. Just because it was made for Photoshop or Illustrator doesn't mean you can't use it. You may not be able to use everything, but it is worth the effort to sort of look it up and try it. Now, I'm not getting anything out of advertising these people. It's just something that I feel that as it's free, give it a go. It's not going to cost you anything. Now, Design Bundles, there is a sister site which is called Font Bundles, which again, every week they give away a free font. If I remember rightly, it might be over here. Click on font. Yes, here you go, the Font Bundles, and they do a free font every week. I don't know quite where it is, and I'm not going to, because this is not what this video is about, so I will just close that. So if you do get this or something similar and you download it, it is quite a long download, because there are 3 different parts that get downloaded. Part 1, 2, part 3. They come in zip files. You just unzip them, and I'll quickly have a open up this one. As you can see, there's brushes and brushes for Illustrator, some designs for business cards. So I'm only going to really look at bundle number 1, and I'm assuming bundle 2 and 3 are pretty similar. So first things first, let's have a look at the Grunge Illustrator brushes. Now, they've got JPEG image and a PNG image. Let's open the PNG, and I'll open this in Designer for now. And which is that one there. Yeah, so you got this PNG image where you got all of these different brush tips. Now you can't sort of just install these as brush tips. You're going to have to sort of go through them one at a time and make brush tips out of them, because I've also got open, this is in Photo, and see again, it's opened as a PNG file, and I have been making brush tips out of these So you can do the same in Designer or Photo, just open the PNG file. Because if I come back to this original one, you do have the AI file and the EPS file. AI, I'm guessing, is Adobe Illustrator, and EPS, as I understand it, is a sort of PDF type image. So if I open this one in Designer, let's try Designer. It's got the same image, but this time it has the background filled in, whereas the PGN file doesn't, or PNG file doesn't, I should say. So the EPS file is usable, but probably not of much use for us, because you really need the PNG with no background file to make the brush tips. And let me come back to Photo. So I made myself a new category in the brushes, which you just do by clicking on this menu here and create new category, which I've already done. And then once you've made the category, you come back to this menu and rename it, which I've already done, and I've called it Grunge Brushes. And I've made various grunge brushes from those first two there, and I've also made a couple of intensity like image brushes again from those first two there. So what I'm going to do now is just to quickly demonstrate using this third option. Now obviously if you're going to do all of these, it's going to take you forever. I would advise you to do, you know, one every now and again, and eventually you will get there. But I'm going to do this one again, so I'm just going to zoom in and pick this one. So I'm going to select it, and then copy that selection, and then come back and go to the file menu and new from clipboard. So I now have the PNG of that selection, and then I'm going to export this. I know this is a very long-winded process, but it's the only way that I personally have found to do this. So I've got the PNG selected, PNG 24, because that will help lose the background area, and just to doubly make sure, I'm going to do selection without background. Export this, and I'm going to call this number 3. Right, so I can now close that one and come back to my brush tab, and I'm going to click on this menu again, and then I'm going to click on new intensity brush, and then find the PNG file that I've saved, click on that, and just click open. So it has made a new brush there, which at the moment, let me come back to this blank document I've got here. If I select the brush tool and we set on black, and I'll select that brush, that is that new brush there. So you could leave that as is. Now personally, by default, both the Affinity programs will make new brushes in the 64 pixel size, which I personally think is a bit too small for a start point. So what I normally always do is I edit the brush, and I just change the size from 64 to 150 to 200, but I'll do this on 150, and then I will close that. So that's a slightly bigger and better size. So what I'm now going to do is I will come back to edit that, and I will duplicate it 3 times and then close. So I've now got 4 versions of the same brush. So the first one is called Grunge Brush 3, and I'm going to highlight the next one down, and I'm going to rename this one Grunge Brush 3A. Okay, and then the next one, like I said in the introduction, it's the whole process is a bit long-winded, and you may not, I would say almost definitely won't want to do the whole lot in one sitting. And this last one is Grunge Brush 3C. So I'll go back to Grunge Brush 3A and come to Edit. Now the size I'm happy with, but I'm going to change the spacing because the original is 15, and I'm going to change this one to 40, and then close that one. Come to this next one, Edit, change the spacing to 80, and this last one I'm going to change the spacing to 100. So that's 4 different brushes from the same image. So if I just try, let me close that, try A, that's a bit like that, B, that's like that, and C is like that. So you can, it's the same image, but you're getting different effects. So before I move on from this one, the next thing I want to do is again come back to this menu here, and this time rather than new intensity brush, I'm going to go for new image brush, and I'm going to use the same image, number 3, and as you can see it is now added this new image brush down here. So if I select that one, it's the same, pretty much the same as what is there. So I can edit this. Now this time you don't sort of get an image of what's happening. I don't know quite why, but you do have the image of what is happening over there. So if I move the spacing here, you can see it happening over there, but not up here. I'm not 100% why it doesn't work on image brushes, but it does on intensity brushes. So you can pick a size whichever you want, but I'm going to go for 115, and then close that. So the actual image is no different than the intensity brushes, but just shows you can make an image brush or an intensity brush from the same PNG file. So that is how you could use all of these. Oh, sorry, press the wrong one there. You could go through and pick all of these, select them all individually, make them as a PNG file, and then make them as brushes. A long drawn out process, I grant you, but it is doable. So moving on back to this design, I think we got here now Be Wild brushes. Again, we have EPS files and PSD files. Now the PSD files you can open, I believe, in a photo, and possibly even in Designer. Right, so this is open this file here. So you could again save this as a JPEG or possibly a PNG file and make a brush tip out of this, because I did this, where did I put this? I think it's Oh, I think I did it in Designer. The brushes. Yes, I made. Let me come back to my. Sorry about this. I lost track there of where I was. I made some brushes out of the Ornamental Violent Original 15, which was this file here. And come to the brush, which is the vector, because these are vector brushes, whereas the ones I made in photo are pixel brushes. So if I save them in photo, I can install them into Adobe Designer, sorry, but they will be only available via the pixel persona. And if you want to make vector brushes, it's very similar. You will come to the, you need to be in the draw persona, and then you would come to make new intensity brush or new textured brush, and again it will then look for an image, and this is the one that I made with. This is the intensity brush. Now the problem with this sort of image as a brush, as you can see, it does take a bit of a while to sort of actually do anything you want, because it's got to draw each one and it takes its time, whereas if you do an image brush from it, it is slightly better. So the intensity brush will take a lot longer to draw what you are painting, whereas the image brush is better. You know, the speed, but you get a weird effect when it sort of, it will go in and out of shape as you are drawing along, you know, the line. So it's a lot harder to control vector brushes in this context. I personally would have gone with making like pixel brushes from them, which is, I'm sure, what I did. I just got to remember where I saved it now. I must have saved it in the wrong place. I can't remember where I saved it now. But you can make them as pixel brushes rather than vector brushes. You know, for me, you get a better, more easy to control result. But obviously, vector brushes are probably better for certain things than pixel brushes are. So that is how I would deal with PSD files if you're going to make brushes out of them or use them as a background. Because I mean, you know, this one that I have open here, you could use as a background maybe, if that's what you're after. So coming back to the next one here, now we've got blank business card templates. Open this up. Now there is a JPEG here. Let me just open this up in photo just so we can have a quick look, which just gives you a rough idea of what you can do. So let me just shut that down. In fact, let me shut down a few of these because I'm starting to confuse myself as to what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. Right, let me shut that down, and I'll shut down this one there. Come back to this. Now in here you do have a PDF file. So I mean, if I just double clicked on this now, it would be opened by Adobe's PDF reader. But if I open this in, let's try Designer, you will get this PDF options with a demonstration on what it's going to look like. Just click OK, and So there you have the front and the back of the business cards, and you could turn off some of these. As you can see, it's turning off all the blank bits there. You can turn off the text. You can even turn off the background if you want to. And this one at the bottom here is the cut marks, so you could turn that off. But you could turn all of these off if you wanted to, and then just be left with the cut marks to give you a way to use those. We turn all these back on again. Well, that'll do it. I'll leave it to that. But you could click and highlight one of these options here and alter the text or put your own new text in that area, because you should be able to just click in there with the text option and then start changing the text. So you've got your basic setup for business cards, and you can make your own from that point. So once you've made all your alterations, just save it with a new name, and then you can sort of send it off for printing or what have you. So that is how you can use the PDF file that is in the business card blank. And the next one, we have a vintage film actions. Now actions we can't use in Affinity Photo. They're basically the same as Affinity's macros, but these are for Photoshop, so we can't use those. And then the last one is a watercolor kit, and here again you got some mock-ups, some brushes. Now I think the brushes are actually ABR files, so they will load normally as file brushes into both Photo and Designer. We've got some mock-ups. So if I let's try this t-shirt one, and I'll open that in Photo. We'll give that a go. There we go. So you have a mock-up of a t-shirt. So again, you could find, let's come to the move tool. Alright, you're going to have to physically find where, there we go. So then you could put your own artwork into that mock-up there. So you have various other mock-ups as paper bags and frames, and coming back, I think that's about it as far as bundles one's concerned. But as you can see, you can get around certain files which on the face of it are not really usable in Affinity Photo and or Designer, but there are ways around using them, by using them as PDF files or open them as PNG files and then making something out of them one at a time, very slowly and very laboriously. But it is possible to use these free resources, so don't be afraid to go out there and actually try them. So that, I believe, is everything I can think of to cover with this particular selection of free stuff. I've not looked at packs 2 and 3. I don't know what's in them yet, but I thought I'd make this quickly while there's only 5 days left. So I'd advise you to sort of just give it a go and see what you can do with it. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.